Today, I'm going to show you how you can get the best pals for your base by breeding only these 4 pals. The previous video I made about this focuses on optimization, and most of the info in there is still relevant. But I'm making this video because I wanted to make an updated list that includes as many of the newer pals as possible. Now, if you're not sure how breeding works in the game or want to learn how to breed for specific passives, I've covered both of those topics in my other breeding videos. If you're new or don't care too much about the passive skills yet, or all of this info is just a little bit too overwhelming, don't worry about it. Even without any good passive skills, just getting all of these pals first will massively boost your overall base production. And then you can just focus on getting the passives you want over time, which is even easier now with some of the changes they've made in the Terraria update. I'll go over all of that in more detail later in the video. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get started. All 4 of our starting pals can be found in areas around level 15 to 20. Catch a few of each so you have at least a male and a female. Cinnamoth is only found in this location, but they're all over the place and very easy to spot. You can also defeat or capture them to get honey, which you will need for the cakes. Vanworm can be found here. This is a fantastic pal overall. Not only is it a great flying mount going from early to mid game, but it's also a dark type, which means it will never sleep. It has level 3 in transporting, and its movement speed isn't reduced very much when transporting items, making it one of the best transport pals you can have for your base even in the late game. Terra and Grisbolt can be found in the Wildlife Sanctuary number 1. The only way to get here is with a water or a flying mount. Don't worry if Grisbolt doesn't spawn right away. As soon as a group of pals goes out of render range, a new group will spawn. Just keep circling the area and it'll spawn eventually. And just be careful, because if you get too close to these PIDF officers, you'll get flagged as wanted. If that happens, just fly as high as you can and stay there for a bit and it'll go away. Or you can also log out and log back in. Oh, and don't worry about writing any of this down. As usual, I'll have this list up on the screen for you to screenshot later, as well as the link in the description if you want to just download it instead. Now, let's get to breeding. We'll start with Anubis. Just put a Cinnamoth and a Vanworm in your base, then use the monitoring stand to assign them to the breeding farm. Place a cake in the box, and a few minutes later, we'll get our egg. Anubis is without a doubt one of the best pals you can have for your base, primarily because of its level 4 handiwork and level 3 mining. I personally don't like to use it for transporting because transporting food items is coded as a higher priority than handiwork, which means Anubis will usually prefer to transport items than actually do the task that he needs to do. I just want it to be mining when it's not crafting something for me. Plus, passives that increase work speed do not affect transporting, so it's far more efficient to utilize mining as a secondary job. Alright, next is one of the newer pals, Gangler. It gets the job not only because of its level 4 watering, but also because it's a dark type and way smaller than the former Water Kings, Phalaris Aqua and Yormuntide. Plus, being a natural dark type means you have a slot open for another passives that can increase watering speed. It's a fantastic pal, I love it. For our next pal, breed Vanworm with Anubis to get a Phalaris. Then breed that Phalaris with Grisbolt to get a Relaxaurus. Then replace the Phalaris with the Relaxaurus to get Ursurk. Electricity and transporting are a great combination since you don't need that much electricity to power your base, which means your Ursurk will be spending most of its time transporting. Just a single Ursurk will do the job easily unless you also have oil extractors in your base, which then will actually require multiple Ursurks since they use so much power. Electricity also has higher priority than transport, so you don't have to worry about your Ursurk getting distracted from keeping the lights on in your base. Next is Braloha, which can be acquired by breeding Gangler and Ursurk. This is a new pal with a whopping level 4 in both planting and gathering, making it the best gardener in the game despite its large size. Until now, the only level 4 gatherer was a level 60 legendary pal, Frostallion Nocturnal. Gathering is an important job since it increases the yield of the crops, which means the higher a pal's gathering level, the more items you actually get. So the addition of this pal alone will significantly increase your crop production. Plus, as a bonus, if you also have your breeding farm in the same base, it will reduce the breeding time as well. Now, let's breed our Ursurk with Grisbolt to get Estagon. It's the only dark type pal with level 4 mining, and with a partner skill based around breaking and gathering extra ore, it can come in handy when going out on resource runs. Next, breeding Grisbolt with Braloha will give us our transporter, Knocklum. Not only is this majestic monster a boss killer thanks to its insanely powerful partner skill, it is also gentle enough to handle all of your items with care. I personally only have it focused on transporting, but if you feel like it doesn't have much to do, then you can also let it do some mining or gathering as a side hustle, making it incredibly versatile around your base. Now, to keep all of our food from spoiling, we need an ice pal. Even a level 1 will do the job just fine. While Vanworm Crist being a dark type is overall a better option to start with, I really just wanted to use as many Terraria pals as I can, so I'm giving the job to Iceland. You can get it by first breeding either of these pairs to get a Euromantide. Then simply breed that Euromantide with Eikthyr Terra. If you're playing on the default day-night cycle, the night only lasts for 5 minutes, which means you won't really lose that much food, but if you are worried about it, just throw a Nocturnal onto it or use the PAL surgery table later to give it Nocturnal. But if your heart is stuck on Vanworm Crist, just breed a Vanworm with a Foxicle. Next, to get Pelia, we just need to breed Iceland with Eikthyr Terra. Pelia has a solid level 3 in planting and medicine as well as a level 2 in gathering. But the main reason it's on the team is because of its partner skill. It increases the harvest rate of your crops by 18%, and when you fully condense it, that bonus doubles to 35%. Plus, this buff stacks and has no limit. So basically, you can put in 3 max level Pernelias and they will increase your yield by 105%, which is basically double. Personally, I have never felt the need to have more than one in my base, but you do you. Now, to get our next pal, we need to breed Vanworm with our Pernelia to get a Blaze Howl. Then breed the Blaze Howl with Euromantide to get the King of Kindling, Euromantide Ignis. However, it has 2 main downsides. Its massive size, which can often be a nuisance, and it lacks a secondary job, which means you will often find it roaming around idly in your base. Until you're able to acquire some kindling books to boost a smaller pal with a better secondary skill like mining or something, or get a Blazemut Ryu, which is a late game raid boss, here are some of the decent alternative options. Now, let's get a Shrub Knock by breeding Pernelia and Blaze Howl. This pal can do a bit of planting, gathering, and lumbering, but since we now have better options for gathering pals, I personally have it focused only on lumbering. Its main job is to boost the morale of your pals anyway. Its partner skill makes it so the sanity of all pals in your base drops 10% slower. Condensing it to 4 stars increases that bonus to 15%. And this buff can stack, but it caps out at a maximum of 90%. But just like Pernelia, I have never found the need to have more than one in my base. Alright, let's move on to Celestir. First, we need to get a Gildane by breeding Relaxaurus and Shrub Knock, then breed the Gildane with Eikthyr Terra to get Celestir. This majestic deer is the only pal in the game with level 4 lumbering, making it a must-have for your base. And lastly, to get Lulu, the final pal on our list, just breed either of these 2 pairs together. I did not include Mazarina or Chickpea in the starting pal list, since you'll need these 2 pals alongside B-Guard to get the ingredients for the cakes anyway. As for Lulu, it only has level 2 in planting and level 1 in gathering. But it gets the job solely because of its partner skill, which passively increases the growth rate of your crops by 20%, bumping up to a whopping 50% when fully condensed. And just like Pernelia, this buff also stacks and has no limit. However, there are diminishing returns, so what that limit is completely up to you. That takes care of all of the best pals we need to get our production going. Now just use the monitoring stand to uncheck the jobs you don't want your pals to focus on. Here's what I personally go with. Anubis will do handiwork and mining, Gangler will focus on watering, Berserk on electricity and transporting, Braloha on planting and gathering, Estagon mining only, Iceland cooling only. I also turn off combat so it doesn't get itself killed during a raid or something. Pernelia, planting, medicine, gathering, Euromantide Ignis, no changes, Shrub Knock, lumbering only, Celestir, lumbering only, Lulu, planting and gathering. Now once you get all of these pals and you want to take it to the next step and start optimizing your base, I have lots of handy tips in this video which are still relevant. So I'm really only going to cover the updates in this video. Starting with the pal surgery table. Honestly, this has to be one of my all-time favorite additions to the game because it is such a huge quality of life improvement. I really hope they expand on this further and add more implants. I'm sure the modders have already taken care of all of that, but I really hope they add it to the base game without having to mod anything. Next is fishing. It's relatively simple, you can get lots of useful passives even in the early and mid game, but it feels absolutely insane in the late game when you're able to use the best bait and the fishing rod. I was easily able to get lots of pals with rainbow passives. If you're not sure how to identify the different sparkles, this list on the screen should make it very clear. And finally, they have significantly increased the drop rates and the sources from which you can get the work suitability books. Speak to as many NPCs in towns and try to complete as many of their quests that you can. I got more books in just a few weeks of Terraria update than I did in like 6 months of Faybreak, and I wasn't even trying that hard to get them. That personally makes me very happy because now I have a team of Foxsparks for my kindling, Tiefens for my watering, and Depresso for mining, which I only remembered thanks to this comment. Man, these guys crack me up every time I look at them. And that's it. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know your thoughts on the list and which pals you have been using your work suitability books on. With that said, thanks for watching. Peace!